So let me go over these are some of the frequently asked questions, and we've covered a few of these already. Number one, can the homeowner use their own subcontractor? So this is something that is really important to us, guys, is the answer to that is no. And there's so many reasons for it. But when we first started the company, we were saying, yeah, you can use your own subcontractor. And we kept running into one problem after another and delaying schedules, and quality of work was questionable. And we just lost control of these subcontractors. And so really the subcontractors that we use, they understand that speed is incredibly important. They understand the quality that we're looking for. We know that they're licensed and insured. There's a relationship there. So the answer is no. So when we go and meet with a customer together, please, even if you have a great roofer, for example, or a wonderful plumber, please do not bring that person up as a possibility. We're more than happy to talk to those subcontractors of yours and build a relationship, and we can vet them beforehand. But when we're there with the customer, it's important that you guys understand where we're coming from and understand that really we need to use our own subcontractors. We have one right now, in fact, where we had quoted them a whole house, redo the counter, and they had a family member who worked in countertops. And so they said, hey, we want to use our own countertop person as a family member. We said yes. And then when it came time for the countertop to go in, the countertop people were being super picky. They're saying, with regards to installing it, they're saying it's not clean enough, and XYZ things need to happen. And it ended up delaying our project for another week. And that is time and time again what happens when you use somebody else's subcontractor. So please, we do not use other subcontractors. If you have somebody, bring them to us beforehand. We'd love to talk to them. Is there a minimum or maximum job size? There is a minimum. This one is really important to us. We're learning from our mistakes, right? So the minimum job size is $20,000. And before we were taking on these smaller jobs, and it ended up just not being financially feasible for us, and timelines were getting all screwed up. So it needs to make sense, and that means at least $20,000 worth of work. As far as the maximum goes, if it's really high up there, hundreds of thousands of dollars, we're more than willing to look at it and do it, so long as it makes sense and we feel comfortable, investing our money into the property. So right now there is no cap on that. Liability, this one's really important. So before we started this company, I was selling homes like you guys, and as a listing agent, I was essentially doing what Make It Market Ready does, which I was going in, getting subcontractors to paint and put in flooring, to do all the things, and I can pay for the pot, and they would pay me closing. And the thing that, and it wasn't until we started this company, we sat down with the attorneys, and I was telling the attorneys that that's what I was doing. And they're like, jaws hit the floor. They're like, do you understand the kind of liability that you're placing yourself in when you're doing that you're basically acting as a general contractor without a general contractor's license. And if something had gone wrong, if there was a flood or a fire or anything, you would have been personally liable, and your brokerage would have been liable as well. And so the amount of risk that is involved when you're doing work without a general contractor's license and insurance is astronomical. It could have been financially devastating for me and my family. So if you are doing something like that as an agent, the nice thing is that, hey, you can continue to do that, but let us take on that liability. Let us take on the management of the project, and you can still offer those services to your customers and win those listings. And the nice thing is that now we can handle all that for you. How long does it take to make a home market ready? Dave already covered that. What are the costs? So our costs are all built into into each line item. So when we give you a quote, it's going to be broken down by like paint, light fixture package, or flooring, LVP, carpet, and we'll break it down into each line item. And our fee, including the cost for the 6 months, is all built into each line item. And so really, it's not, you don't have to worry about that. If you were to go, this is also sort of important for you guys as agents to understand, is if you were to take our carpet cost, for example, and compare it to, go directly to like a carpet store, for example, and compare our costs, ours are going to be most likely more expensive. And for obvious reasons, just like any general contractor, the way we make our money is that we charge a general contractor fee, but we put it on top of the cost for the carpet. And then the same thing with the cost to bankroll it for 6 months. It goes on top of the basic cost of flooring. So try and explain that to your customers, prepare them for that. Our fee includes like all the management as well, and a bunch of the liability insurance and all that kind of stuff. And so just let them know, like if they go, they're like, Home Depot only costs this much money. Well, I mean, there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason why we're more expensive. Hopefully that makes sense. Can the home be occupied during the construction process? And Dave answered this already, but the answer is no on that one. And again, that one is, there's just too much liability. It messes with schedules. We have, family members running into the construction sites. Oftentimes what has to happen, like in painting, if we paint an entire house, we need to we first tape off the entire house. We don't do it like paint a wall and then another wall, another one. We first do taping throughout the entire house. And then we go and spray, and we just can't have people living in that construction process. So yeah, the home has to be vacant, at least during the time of construction, and free of belongings. And there might be some exceptions to that, but probably not. But you can always reach out to us if you have a question about that. Some additional, so let's say you think you have a home that might be make it market ready, suited to make it market ready. These are the things that we would ask that you do and ask yourself, ideally before reaching out to us, but of course we'll remind you every time you reach out as well. But first, qualify the client. So that means they have to have the equity in the home to qualify, which Dave already went over that, right? It's the cost of construction, cost to sell the home, those fees times 2. And if the after repair value has enough equity, then yes. So make sure that they have equity. Job size, make sure it's at least $20,000 minimum. Make sure they have the ability to move out during the construction process and move their stuff out. And then client type. And what I mean by this one is you guys have all worked with those knuckleheads out there as listing agents. This process is a tricky one. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. And even if we might be a good fit for the house, but the client is you just know is going to be really difficult to work with. They have like legal issues or, don't bring us those guys, because it's just going to make life super difficult, and we might hold it against you. So, so hopefully bring us the nice people, the people that you think will be great to work with. The other thing that I want you to do when you go through a home before calling us is ask yourself 2 questions with the items that potentially need to be repaired. Number 1, ask yourself, if I do not make this repair, will it prevent an offer from coming in on the home? If the answer is yes, then think of us, okay? So for example, let's say there's a huge hole in the roof. Is that going to prevent somebody from making an offer on the home? The answer is yes. So even if you might not necessarily get dollar for dollar out of that, your money back, but it's going to help you sell the entire house, in which case, yeah, you're going to get your money back in that regard. The second question you're going to ask yourself is, if I make this repair or this update, will I be able to get my money back and then some above that, the cost of repair? And if the answer is yes, then again, think of us. We try and aim for a 2x return. So for every dollar that Make It Market Ready puts into your customer's home, we hope that causes the home to sell for an additional $2. So they get to pay us back $1 and they get $1 in return. So I asked this question, like, if you knew that if for every $50,000 that we put into your house, you would walk away with an additional $50,000, how much of our money would you put in? The answer is, like, of course, I'd put all of your money into it and try and get as much as possible. And of course, I'm being a little bit, facetious on that one, in the sense of, we have to be very careful on how much we put into homes. But the idea is we want to try and get a return, not just break even if we're going to make a repair. That's not absolutely necessary. Okay, then the other thing that we'd love for you to do is do your best at tackling what you think the home is worth in as-is condition versus ARV, after repair value. So after all the repairs. If you have those numbers that you share with us, that's always really helpful. We do our own internal numbers just to verify for ourselves how we feel about it. But that is always helpful information from you.